Welcome to Hope Through the Hard, a curated coalition podcast where we talk honestly about life struggles and how to face them in a healthy, hope-filled way. In 2 Corinthians 4, Paul says, "We are hard-pressed on every side but not crushed, perplexed but not in despair, persecuted but not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed." That's what this space is about, real conversations about the hard things in life and the hope that carries us through. I'm Ashley, and
I'm Addie.
And this is my beautiful daughter, and we are talking today about church hurt. Before we jump into that, you can find all of our coaching services at curatedcoalition.com, which is linked in the show notes. If you are looking for help navigating church hurt or setting boundaries with family, any of those sorts of things, you can find all of Levi's coaching services and my coaching services there. And if you hear anything, the dog is in the corner eating her bone.
I keep laughing. I can't.
And we wanted to thank Levi tonight for being our producer man. So, kid question, brother question.
Okay.
Scared.
Who is your favorite celebrity? That's really controversial right now. I honestly can't even answer that right now.
Favorite celebrity? Your brother asked you.
Charlie Kirk, obviously. It's my answer right now. Nobody else is winning right now.
I agree with you.
That man,
100%.
That man died for his faith, and no one is beating him.
Right.
In my opinion right now.
And one of the things that he encouraged people to do was to be involved in their local church.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of navigating that from a position of the reality that church hurt happens.
And he talked about that.
Yeah.
He talked a lot about that at his events.
That sometimes Christians,
We're not perfect.
we're not perfect and we hurt each other. Mm-hmm. And that has a tendency for a lot of people to impact their relationship with God.
Yep.
And I think that the reason it seems very strange, I'm sure to some people, to have an 18-year-old sitting in a chair talking about experiencing church hurt and still being someone who's willing to cling to their faith in God. And I just want to encourage you to stay with this conversation.
I'm not totally crazy.
if this seems like an odd perspective, there's a reason. And the reason that I wanted to have her do this conversation is because she grew up a pastor's kid. Levi was in ministry for almost 20 years. And the first 14 years of your life, you spent as a preacher's kid. And you experienced things that pushed you away from the church and from other Christians. But the beautiful thing I think about you is that you have, over the last few years, you've been able to make your faith yours.
Yeah.
And you are currently doing what job?
I'm working in kids ministry at a church.
Which would you have ever thought that you would be in that
Absolutely
position?
not. I swore to myself and to everyone around me, I will never marry a man who is a minister. I will never associate with ministry. And then I got offered the job, and I felt like God called me to do it. And I was like, I guess I can't tell God no.
He closed every door.
Every other job door. I'm like applying to jobs, and it's like, no, it's just not the right fit. No, it's just not this. And I was like, I don't understand. But no, this is what he wanted me to do. And it's opened my eyes to see so much more. And obviously, it's not perfect.
Of course not.
I love the women I work with. The men I work with, they're very sweet people, but it's still not perfect. There's still a lot going on there that I'm like, oh, this is the things. These are triggers for me, but it's not. But I'm there for the kids.
Right.
Like I'm leading, Sunday is actually the first Sunday. I'm leading Bible study or I guess it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'm leading my first Bible study with the pre-K kindergarten kids. And then I'm going again tomorrow night to take Lyndon because I'm leading a small group with 3rd through 5th graders.
Yeah, which is actually a program that you launched.
I did at my school. I did Bible studies for 4th and 5th graders. I don't even remember. I think it was Tuesdays and Fridays with 4th grade and Wednesdays with 5th grade.
But this is also something that you've sort of
Oh, yeah,
said,
I
these
did.
kids need a small
I
group.
did. I went
They need
to
community.
I had a meeting with the children's director and our family director, and I was like, I really think that this is something they need. These kids need connections and not just sitting there on a Sunday morning with a 4-year-old in their class getting the same lesson as a 4-year-old. They need this connection and someone pouring into them because they're about to go into middle school.
Yeah.
Those kids have a lot of stress.
So did you think that you would ever, like if I had asked you a year and a half, 2 years ago, Adeline, where are you in relationship to your opinion about the church? What would you have said?
I would have told you, don't you dare drag me to church on Sunday. I'm not going. I would not. I didn't. Every Sunday I would say, I'm not going to church. And you would say, yes, you are. And the only reason I would go is because I had my kindergarten kids and I loved them. They were the only reason I kept going to church. I hated going. I refused. I would sit there and scroll my phone during the sermon. I hated going.
Yeah. Okay. And so what I want to kind of dive into is your story. The first church that you were ever really a part of, that you remember being a part of, was back in Missouri. It was the church that your dad was a student pastor at. Tell me, what was your relationship to church and to other Christians when you were there?
It was very actions based. Everything I did determined what kind of person I was. What kind of like person I'll become. It was never about who you were. It was how you acted, how you looked, how you presented yourself, how you spoke, all of those sort of things. And if you were to mess up or act out or not sit perfectly still in church and wear the perfect outfit, then...
And have your hair perfectly fixed.
That was crazy. The fact that they said that was crazy.
Tell that story, because I
don't remember anything other than Dad was having to get me ready for church that morning because we were running late, and I went with
children's
him.
program. It was
we
you were in
had
the children's program.
We did this little thing, and we would all sing in like little kids choir. And Dad had to take me to church that morning, and you had my brothers to get around.
Just Lincoln at that time.
Weren't
you were little.
Pregnant?
I might have been pregnant.
I'm convinced you were pregnant with my sister, and that's why you were sick, because it was around Christmas.
You're probably right.
And Dad had to get me ready to go, and
I attempted to fix your hair.
My lovely father can't do hair super well. I love him so much, but there's a reason I'm the one in the family doing that business.
Yeah.
But he had thrown my hair into a ponytail, and I remember it was over the kitchen sink with water. And he goes, do you wrap it 2 or 3 times? And I was like, Dad, I don't have much hair. It's like 4 times. And I remember it. But then I got to church and they were like, why is your daughter in a ponytail? She's on stage. She's in a ponytail.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. So it was so in your opinion, would you say that it felt, you said actions-based, but I also feel like you and your brother, especially Lincoln, you and Lincoln, sort of lived in a fishbowl. Like everybody could see in
everything.
And is that how you felt?
Yes, and I was miserable.
Okay.
Like I never felt like I could wear the clothes I liked wearing, because I remember that was such a fight growing up. I was like, Mom, everyone else gets to wear the cute clothes. Why do I have to wear? Yeah, I loved leggings. I still love leggings. And I was like, why do I have to wear jeans and long shorts, and I couldn't wear tank tops, and I was miserable. I was like, I hate this. I very much express myself through how I dress.
Yeah.
To this day.
Yeah.
I find like how I look expresses myself, not like in a weird way, like my self-worth and stuff like that's determined by how I look, but I just enjoy expressing myself through fashion.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
That's true.
And that was always so difficult, but I mean, there was a reason the people in that church were like very judgmental about how we looked and what swimsuits we wore and stuff like that.
So are you comfortable talking about the last year that your dad was on staff and
at that church
and what you sort of overheard and how that shaped your opinion of Christians going forward?
I'm going to be honest with you. That memory is like, it's so like shut out now, because I was so like, the last year I remember I was in middle school, like 6th grade.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew we were moving and I hated that idea.
Yeah.
And that whole situation was really just like upsetting for me because I left everything I knew, and I
Mhm.
knew I was leaving that. And so the whole time, like my memories from that are very vague.
Yeah. Do you remember overhearing someone in the sanctuary?
Maybe.
Okay.
What are
Yeah.
you getting at? Explain
I
explain it again.
so one of the reasons that you were kind of done attending on Sunday morning, um, I remember you coming to me and
Oh, I'm
saying,
remembering.
"Go ahead."
I
Do you?
remember coming to you, and it's when we started to go to another church
Yeah. We drove 30 minutes
for church
to
because
go
we wouldn't go back. It was
because you overheard someone
something.
talking badly about your dad.
They were saying something about like he doesn't do his job or something like that.
And he was working like
He worked
60 hours a
every
week.
day. He would be
Yeah.
out the house. I remember that. I
Yeah.
was in a white flowy skirt and a sweater. I remember that day because I cried about it.
Yeah.
I don't remember who said it,
Yeah. I do.
but I remember being upset, and that's when we stopped coming to church there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went
because
to
because
drove
you
so
were
far.
so hurt by
Because
that.
I knew that my dad worked his butt off
Hmm.
for so long.
Yeah. And so and that really kind of shaped your opinion.
Yeah, and I think it
Going
was a
forward.
staff member too. And that's
Yeah.
what really got me, and I think I remember which staff member it was.
It was it was definitely a volunteer for sure.
Oh, it was rough.
So then when we moved to Savannah, your
Oh,
dad
gosh.
started working at a church.
Yeah.
And that also contributed to some of your pain.
That was really rough for me.
Why?
Lovey. Because it was just so difficult. I remember like we were forced to be friends with these people, and it was there were girls there, and they really just did not like me. And I don't know why, but like I knew that their dads were both pastors and they were my age, and I knew that I was like to be their friend. Like, because that was the expectation. Like, those are the pastor's daughters. The pastor daughters all have to be friends. And I was so like, I didn't like them. I didn't like the way they talked. I didn't like the way they acted. It was just so
They were
cliquey.
pushing you to do
things I'm not trying to be that negative. That I never wanted to live my life at such a low frequency.
Yeah.
That they vibrated. Everything was so negative. Everything was so just low and unhappy. And I was already in a really unhappy place with my life because I had just lost 12 years of my life.
12 years of friendship.
Yes, my whole childhood. And I left my school literally in November. We moved October, November in the middle of the school year.
Yeah.
And that was like, I was so upset by that. And I was already really low. And it just made it so much worse. But the worst part about it was when we were leaving the church. You remember what they told Dad he had to do if we were to be there any longer?
Yeah.
They told us me and you had to walk through fire, were their words, to be friends with their family because we didn't really like it there. We weren't the kind of people that like you have to be in cliques if you have to be in a clique.
It was very much like
It was awful.
you had to be part of the group.
It was the group.
Yeah.
And we're not that kind of people. And I just remember being so uncomfortable with that. Or they were like, or you can leave. And Dad asked me, he was like, are you comfortable with that? And I was like, no. And it's so toxic.
Yeah.
If they're like, you have to do this to be a part of our church, that's not how the church should be. The church should accept people and love people.
Yeah.
And that was so upsetting because I was like, this has got to be such a problem because what kind of Christian people are saying you have to follow our expectations and our things if you want to be a part of our church. It's not about you.
Yeah.
You aren't the center of the world.
Okay.
Sorry. No.
So then we went to another church here
Yeah.
in Savannah. Can you sort of talk about that? There were good things. There were really, really great things.
I loved the kids ministry
about serving in that church that were amazing.
Yeah.
But talk specifically about your experience in the student program.
It was miserable.
Because you
Oh
were
my
coming
gosh.
from two
really negative churches.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I was even willing to try, I told you, I was like, this is my last straw. I am really tired of church. This has been two really, really negative things that have impacted our whole family.
Mm-hmm.
It was not just me, it was our entire family. And so we started going, and for a little while it was good. It was pretty good.
When you were in middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once I got to high school, we had this incident, and this girl was cussing me out at church, and no one did anything about it. And kind of like started to take a step back. I was a freshman, and she was a sophomore. And she started cussing me out because I didn't ask her to get ready with me for homecoming.
Yes, that's
So
exactly
I was
how
like,
that worked.
honey, I didn't have to get ready with you for homecoming. I offered
Yeah.
to take pictures. And instead, she decided to cuss me out in church. And I was like, the leader sat there and watched it and said nothing. And I was like, how can you sit here and watch this girl get cussed out and say nothing, knowing how much like she has a problem with church? So I started, to like distance myself with it a little bit, but I still went because my best friend went, and I love her to death. And I was like, okay,
You were going for your best friend.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
definitely going for her.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when I was a junior, I went my whole sophomore year, not as frequently as
Very infrequently.
Yeah, every now and then I would go, and it was only at like big events when I went with my friend. And by my junior year, I had pretty much been like, I'm done, because I was already so hurt by the fact that these people were just so negative, and I had started going to a new school where people sat there and like, the kinds of Christians that say they're Christians and then they don't act like it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of Christian that everyone has church hurt from, because you're like, okay, you're supposed to be loving and accepting of me, and you sit there and degrade and devalue me. How does that work?
Mhm.
I thought you're supposed to be acting like you love people, at least try to love people, but instead they would blatantly just be so disrespectful about Christ to your faith, like about who you are, who your worth is. And so that was my sophomore year, is when you had a meeting with the youth leaders, and
Your dad and I.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because you were very hurt, and we
Yeah.
wanted them we were asking them specifically, could you please come alongside our daughter? She's been through a lot of church hurt. She is broken. Her faith is wavering. She loves kids. She serves the kids,
yeah.
but she's broken. And can you come alongside her and hold her up and put her back together with us? Like, could you do that? And
No.
they said,
Your daughter is too much. She's got an attitude. We don't really think she's a good fit for our youth group.
yeah. And by attitude, it was you rolled your eyes too much.
Yeah, I roll my eyes at everything.
Yeah.
That's just I'm not
Yes.
trying to be mean. I just
I
do.
mean, you probably are trying to be mean, but you definitely see.
There were some people there that were mean to me, and I
Yes.
didn't like them.
Yeah,
Of course,
and-
I'm gonna be like.
And that was
dang it.
sort of the final straw for us, because you were at a school that was supposed to be a Christian school,
Yeah.
and you were being openly bullied often, if
Every
not
day,
daily.
I came home and cried. Every day, they would yell at me. They would throw
call,
things
throw
at me.
food.
Throw a lot of food at me.
And these were people whose
went to that church.
Yeah.
By the way.
yeah, and parents served in that church,
And at the school, donated lots of money to the school.
And so it was a very hard time for you. And I remember at one point over Christmas break, you were sitting in the bathtub crying, and I like knocked on the door, and I'm like, what is going on? And you said, I just can't go back to a school where everybody says they're a Christian and nobody acts like Jesus. And
Yeah.
I called your administrator, who was a lovely, lovely woman. And
She was
she said, I want her to be there, because what she brings is what the school needs.
Yeah, because I was working with the lower school
Yeah.
every single day, pouring into those kids.
Yeah. And so I want to talk about how you were able to do that. How were you able to finally come to the point where you could separate people who said they loved Jesus from their behavior that was terrible, and then be able to love Jesus again?
I think a lot of it came from just having conversations with you and in my own prayer and scripture reading. Because in that time, when I was like a sophomore, like 15, 16, I hated it all. And I remember talking to you and you were like, Addie, the church is not just the people. The people aren't perfect and they're going to mess up. You have to come to on your own terms and decide, are you willing to have a relationship with God who is perfect and loves you? Or are you going to let the sinful people determine who God is? And I was like, whoa, that makes so much more sense because my faith is not in people. My faith can't be in people.
Right.
They're going to screw up. They're going to hurt me. And for so long, I had thought that these Christian people in my life that I was surrounded by were supposed to be uplifting me and bringing me to Jesus. And it's not about the people.
Right.
It's about your personal relationship with God. And there are people you can find, whether it's going to take years, because it took
Years.
18 years
Yeah.
to find really good people. But you have to work on it. And of course you're going to have times where you're really, really, really low in your faith.
Right.
And then there's times where you're going to be sky high and you feel like you're on the move and you are making so much progress and there's so many positive things going on in your life. But even when you're at your low, you cannot sit there and say, because I always would say, why does God just hate us so much? Like, why are there so many negative things? And then a couple months later, a couple years later, you come around and you're like, there was so much more. And I just could not let myself, because by the time I graduated from that school, I saw so much beauty in what I thought was such a disgusting place. And I was so ready to leave. But if you just look past all of those negative things, the food throwing, the cursing, the negative name calling, the
Clicks.
the sexual provocative speech about one's body, those sorts of things. If you look past those things, there were 50 kids every single week that I got to pour into. It was more than that. Pre-K, kindergarten, first grade. I didn't do anything with second or third. And then my fourth and fifth graders. Then there was the middle schoolers. I loved those kids. And I spent more time in the kids' classrooms than I spent in my own classrooms. The fact that I still got A's and B's was a miracle.
Yeah.
A miracle that I had honors at the end of the year because I didn't care. That wasn't God was not like, Addie, you have to do good on your grades. No, it was so much more important. It was, Addie, you have these kids look up to you and you have so much more in life to do than just get good grades.
So you found community
yeah.
in the younger kids and pouring into them, and especially at that school. How has that translated now that you're not there? Where are you finding community? I know you're serving in a church.
Yeah.
And you sort of mentioned the lovely women that you serve there with, and the men,
fabulous.
the male pastors, and
Amazing people.
Yeah. So other than that, where have you found a way to find community when the church has failed you? The big C church, the Christians.
Yeah, your Sunday morning kind of church.
Yeah.
I've made my faith more personal instead of just a man on a pulpit. It's more, if I'm struggling with something, I go to my close friends. I have two really close friends my age that I talk to about things. They're really great girls. I love them to death. I go to you, to Dad. I talk to y'all about stuff. If I'm having I talk to the women I serve with. They're really, really great people. I have my boyfriend. I talk to him about literally everything.
Yeah.
And he's helped me through so many things. But like I've had
And
to
he
realize
has friends who have welcomed you.
His friends are really sweet to me. They're really kind. I talk to them about stuff weekly. We'll go hang out together. I'll go hang out with his friends and we'll have talks about things that are personal. And they're very judgmental free and they're very open and honest with me, and in turn they're really good people. And I've gone to the church we've been most recently visiting with our family, the whole family, not visiting, we go there.
Yeah.
And there are some really, really great women there. And I've gone to their youth group camps and stuff like that for the past 2 years. And I've poured into other girls there, and they've poured into me. And the leadership there has helped me through awful things that I've had to go through in my personal life with people. And they were there and supported me through it.
Yeah, the student volunteers.
Really, really great women there.
Yeah.
But there's some girls there that I don't really like.
Yeah.
There was a lot of issues, not personally with me.
Yeah, just
but
a lot
with
of
each
pot
other.
stirring.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when you saw that like division happening, you were fairly quick to back away.
Yes. So I was so quick.
Yeah.
I just stopped going.
Yeah. Fairly quick to back away and like pull back. And when I sort of pushed you to go, you said, no,
I'm much happier remaining in my faith and my spiritual growth, not around that, because I'm not trying to get involved in more church hurt. Yeah. I can find
or cause hurt to someone else by
not.
picking a side in a superficial battle.
Girl battle. Like that's not something. And so instead I was like, I can find I'm not going there for the friendships. I was going there for the community and the spiritual part, the worship, the sermons, the small group. Yeah. And I can get that on a Sunday morning. Yeah. Instead of going to a youth group event. I can get that going and serving on a Sunday morning. Yeah. Any other time I could have gotten that.
Yeah. So you've looked for other ways to meet that need and pursue your own personal relationship versus expecting it to be spoon-fed to you from church programming.
No. Yeah. It's really, if you find that, good for you. You found a jackpot. If they just sit there and everyone is great and nice, you're lucky, I guess.
Right. And that's one of the things that I think is important to note is that we experienced this hurt when we lived in Missouri. Yeah. We experienced this hurt from 2 churches here in Savannah.
Every church we've gone to.
There are broken people who proclaim the name of Jesus and then they do the horrible, horrible thing that we all do. And sin, right?
If someone looks at me and expects me to be a perfect Christian, I'm going to tell them that's not me.
It's not
don't
possible.
Trust me to do that.
Yeah, because it's not possible. And so you're going to experience church hurt probably no matter where you go. Yeah. And you just have to learn to recognize behavior that's dangerous or toxic and then maybe pull back from that and pursue your faith and community with other safer people. And that might look like pursuing your community outside of that church and attending the church for corporate worship and for corporate, preaching, but then pursuing intimate connection and community outside of that. And so I think that's just something to remember. And we don't ever advocate for not attending church or not being part of your local church, but recognizing what your church is capable of giving and where they're not capable of meeting those needs. And then you finding the opportunity to do what you've done and serve in those areas. Yeah. You jump in where it's weak and you pour in and serve in those areas. And then
it
build
fills you
them
up so much more.
And you're building the community up instead of risking.
To watch a child get up and tell you, guess what? After our conversation last week, I think I've decided to get baptized. That was 2 of the girls in my Bible studies at school came up to me and were like, our talk we had last week? I'm going to get baptized. And I was like, wow, that was so much more filling than just trying to fill myself up going to youth group and dealing with all of that. Yeah. It's so much more rewarding when you're serving others. And everyone's like, oh, I'm too tired to serve. I feel really tired. I had a long week. It will fill you up like nothing else to serve others.
Right. And that's really like we were talking. Lincoln's question was, who is your favorite celebrity? And
Yeah.
that's exactly what Charlie Kirk encouraged people to
Mm.
do. Go serve, love people, like
Yeah.
meet them where they're at and then love them.
Because you can't force people to do anything like that. No.
Yeah. So I'm going to read Colossians 3:12 through 15. Put on then, as God's chosen ones, holy and beloved, compassionate hearts,
Mm-hmm.
kindness, humility, meekness, patience, bearing with one another, and if one has complaint against another, forgiving each other, as the Lord has forgiven you, so also you must forgive. Put on love, which binds everything together in perfect harmony. Then let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which indeed you were called in one body, and be thankful. And I think that those are the things that we are going to experience hurt when
Yeah.
people act like people, because
You've
we
got
all
to
sin.
forgive them through
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, we all sin. And so we have to just remember to have compassionate hearts.
Yep.
And be kind and humble. Admit when we're wrong.
Oh my gosh.
Admit when we're the ones who caused the hurt.
Yes.
And then
Apologize.
right. And be patient and bear with someone when they're in a situation. Like, how much further along in this would you be if the church had been willing to walk alongside you and help put you
So
back
much
together and
farther.
bear with you in that pain? And then just, remembering to offer forgiveness, because no
We all
one's
mess up.
perfect. Yeah.
I know I've messed up. I've
Mhm.
probably upset lots and lots and lots. I know I have.
Yeah.
It's just important that you have to apologize
When they bring it to your attention,
and work
Yeah.
on changing it.
and love, because that's where we get the peace that we should be finding in church,
Yes.
is by doing our best to recognize that no church is perfect.
Oh, no. Not at
And
all.
we're going to be hurt.
Yep.
And that the only thing we can do is try to forgive, move forward, bear with the broken, and serve.
Yep.
Serve. So, anything else you wanted to add about your experience with church hurt?
No.
I'm really proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
I'm really proud of you.
I couldn't have gotten anywhere without having people support me through
Right.
it,
Yeah.
because it is hard. And I know you've had a lot too.
Yeah.
With
But I'm really
All of
it's-
those same churches, same
Yeah.
problems. Yep.
Yeah. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us today for our conversation. My hope is that you leave here reminded that whatever you're facing, you're not crushed, you're not abandoned, and you're not destroyed. That's the promise of 2 Corinthians 4:8 and 9, and the heartbeat of hope through the hard. Once again, you can find all of our coaching services at curatedcoalition.com. We've been there. We understand if you're walking through something hard, and we would love to bear with you and offer a compassionate place for you to talk about those things. So we'll see you next time.